Yeah.
Ready? Hello, my name is Dale Adams of Planning Ahead of Time, and this week I'm speaking with Katie. Katie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, thanks, Dale. Yes, I am Katie Costello. I am a sole midwife, a funeral celebrant, and an accredited death educator. So I am an end-of-life companion, essentially, with my sole midwife work. I host and officiate funerals, memorials, celebrations of life, insert whatever you want to call it here. And I have my own death education program that I've had accredited with the CPD, literally about death and what it looks like. So it's very much death education from a human perspective. And I've been doing this work for the best part of 11, nearly 12 years now.
It's fantastic. Well, I've spoken to celebrants before, but never a
Mhm.
sole midwife. So can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Sure. It's funny, song midwifery, some people may have heard of a death doula. So we're the same but different. It depends where you've done your training, where your own faith or your thoughts might lie. But we're essentially just people that are there to sit along people as they die. So we are a companion, we are emotional, spiritual support. We support as soul midwives people from diagnosis right through to death and after. And the soul midwife movement is not new. Our founder and my friend Felicity Warner started the movement over 30, if not 40 years ago now, just recognizing that there was that gap, because there was no one to just sit and be with people. There's hospitals and clinical people, there's faith and religion and faith-based people. There's no other just real human beings to sit alongside somebody, and that's essentially what we do. So it can be a religious, spiritual journey if that's what people want, but we are non-denominational, so we support all faiths and none, and we're just that human being to just be with people. And I just happen to come with I was going to say a particular set of skills. That sounds like from that film. I just happen to come with the years experience that I do, which is in end of life care, community care, domiciliary care, and hospice care, which is also where I work. So I just happen to have a lot of years in this world anyway. And soul midwifery just really spoke to me. It just really wears my heart, where my heart lies, just to be with people as they die, so people don't have to do it alone. For those people actually and their families.
I was going to say the comfort it must bring for everybody involved. I know, for me, it's what I did for my mom. Whether I would be somebody who would and could do it for other people, I think it takes a special person to do that. But I do think it's so, so necessary. There's so many people are going through it alone, and their families don't know what to do. And it brings a lot of support and comfort, I would imagine.
Exactly that. And like you just said, exactly that, Dale, people don't know what to do. So part also of my mission, I do a lot on my social media channels, and part of the motivation for doing the death education course was to do that and educate people. We don't talk enough. We have this really silly idea that if we don't talk about it, then we somehow are avoiding it and we'll be pushing it away, and we don't. It's crazy because it's going to happen. It obviously, everybody before us has died, we will die, everybody after us will die. That's what happens. Yet, because we are so scared of it, understandably so, because it's the unknown and it creates really, really challenging emotions. But because we're so scared of it, we bat it back, and it's madness because we don't bat back your survey when you buy a house. We don't bat back the Facebook stalking when you're online dating to find out about somebody. You don't leave your wedding plans until the last minute. Everything we do in life we plan and prepare for, yet death, which is the only thing guaranteed out of all those things, for example, I just said, we do nothing about. So it's because people don't know. They don't know where to turn. They don't know the resources. They don't know who is available to talk to, what help is out there. That's a big part of what I do, is to hopefully share that for the masses, but then also be that person that can guide somebody or their family or their people through the help that is available, things they might want to think about, things like, where they want to die, what they want their death to look like, funeral planning, everything. Because, you have got choices, and people just think, well, a doctor needs to do it, or a funeral director needs to do it, or, the hospice will tell me, or so this person will sort it. Well, yes, they will, and it's great, but you do still have so much choice. And so I'm really passionate about people knowing that.
I think that's it. For me, obviously, with the planning ahead of time, that's exactly what it's about. It's giving people choices to their last breath and beyond, is what is how I class it. Because, as you say, yes, funeral directors will come in and sort it. you know, the hospice person will come in and deal with it, the doctors, etc. But they don't know what you want unless you express it. And if you're unable to express it, they're doing what they think is right and not necessarily what is right for you. So I completely, again, you and I are going to be on the same page with this. We're doing very similar work, but in slightly different ways. And I think that, as you said, when you're talking about the planning and looking at what death looks like, and when you were talking about the other events in our lives that may or may not go ahead, you know, you can plan for a wedding and it still might not go ahead.
Yeah.
But a death will go ahead regardless. So if you don't ever put any plans in place or let people know what you want, when that time comes, everybody's thrown into the grief of it, but with no idea what to do. And then they are with that feeling of did I or didn't I get it right? And that, I think, is, you know, I've just sort of expressed to you that I work as a medium. I think that's one of the most difficult things. That's what people want to know. Were they happy with what I did? Did I do the right thing? Are they okay? And I think it's so important. And some of that can be alleviated if they know what that dying person would have wanted them to do, because they can do it.
And exactly, all of that, exactly that. And I see daily the difference it makes when we have those conversations. I see, and I'm in the thick of it sometimes with a family, with a group of people that are grieving, angry, you know, thick, heavy, challenging emotions all going on. But when you do you're brave enough to sit in those moments and say those things that you don't want to say out loud to each other, to the dying person, and the dying person to their people, when you actually can sit and hold that and you're in that space, I'm going to say the magic that comes out of that after later on is immense. And I always say to people, you give each other a gift. So for the dying person to be able to have somebody like me or a family or anybody actually to be able to go, this is what I'm scared of. This is actually what I would really like. Is this possible? This is how I feel. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. They have that gift of peace, knowing that it's said and somebody understands and knows what they want. They know their wishes will be adhered to. And equally for the people hearing it, have that gift of knowledge. So they don't have so many of those unanswered questions you just mentioned. They don't sit there and go, oh my God, you know, mum never talked about her funeral. I really hope I've done the right thing. That weighs so much heavier on grief for the rest of their lives. So, you know, yes, those thick, challenging moments are so difficult, but if we don't do them now while we can with that person, the weight of them is far heavier later on when you don't get to have those conversations and you're left with all the what ifs and did I and could I and all the questions that you can't answer. So people will always say, oh, it's easier said than done. Of course it is. It's easy for me to say now, go on, Mr. Smith, go and talk to your person who's dying about what they want for their funeral. He'll go, I can't do that. But we need to try, because it has a huge impact. If we think about just us left behind, it has a huge impact on our grief journey, on our mental health, on our emotional well-being, on the choices that we will make after our person has gone. So, you know, it's almost you are planning ahead of time in that sense as well, by planning your emotions better and looking after yourself, by being able to deal with it now while you can.
Yeah, it also has an effect on obviously all of the sort of the administrative side as well.
Yeah.
You don't know, if you don't know where the documents are, if you don't know where the information is, I mean, that in itself is huge on people, and the pressure to get that right, get it done, get it sorted, family giving them a little bit of grief as to, you know, when is it all going to be done and finished, and even the finances. Well, it's been gone a year and I know what I'm doing, and we still haven't finalized some of the things, admittedly it's to do with overseas. However, you know, we're nearly a year on now. This takes time. It's a lot of work, even when you've got all the information. So for somebody who doesn't have the information, you know, it can be just an extremely extended process. But I also think what you do and what I do to a degree, it's having that other person you can speak to. I was with clients recently, and what I got told by the daughter was different to what I got told by the mother when I actually sat with the mother on her own. And when the daughter wasn't there, she started to be very honest about how she saw her end of life. And yet, obviously, it's what we wish to do for our loved ones is not necessarily what they would want, but they don't want to upset us either.
Oh, this is such a big thing, isn't it? It's you think you're protecting your people. If you're the person that's dying, exactly that. I've had many situations the same as that, Dale, where the dying person has opened up to me and not their family. And actually, sometimes that's okay. Sometimes they don't need to open up to their family. But when it's about stuff that involves them, or that their family are going to be the ones that are going to be impacted by their decision, their choice, their thoughts, you have to open that up and have some difficult conversations. But they think they're protecting them by not upsetting them. And then equally, the family don't want to say it to their dying person because they think, well, again, it's going to upset them and I don't want to go there. That's where we've got to come together and just accept that everyone's already upset anyway. Everybody's already upset. This is already really horrible and difficult and challenging. And nobody wants this to be the situation, no matter how old or young the person is that's dying, no matter what they're dying of. You don't want to lose somebody you care about. But it gets to the point where we have to go, it's happening. And how do I want to deal with this? So then you can combat. And also, there are some magic moments we can bring people together who don't want to talk because they don't want to upset everybody. And it could just be actually that there is just that one moment, that one conversation where everything is said, and actually then you're done. You've had that one moment. Yes, everybody's got upset, but it's not you directly upsetting your person. It's an upsetting situation. It's very similar to after when somebody's gone and people don't want to talk about them because they don't want to upset somebody. The worst has already happened. They've already lost the person they love. So you bringing them up actually may give them an opportunity to share and feel the love rather than feeling they have to hide their grief. And it's a very similar thing. When very recently I had a family where it was actually a father looking after his son who has now died. But the father spoke to me and said he didn't want to say all these things to his son. But actually, what it came out was that actually the son wanted to share. It was the dad that thought he was protecting him. So when it happened, the son was able to share, which he was desperately waiting for that moment. So we can't always assume that it's a bad thing. Sometimes our people need permission. Sometimes we need to give ourselves permission, and we need to give our person permission to speak freely. So don't assume that people don't want to have this conversation. Many people do.
Yeah, again, I agree with you, and it's what we can facilitate. But I think
Yeah,
having an external person in there and somebody
I
who has
agree.
that knowledge and that ability to talk and willingness to sort of talk, listen without judgment, and then enable those conversations within, like you say, families. I love the fact that you keep calling them their people. I think that's a brilliant way of describing it. So to have those conversations, I think is so important. And
Yeah.
for the family, it's what you're offering is support on many, many levels, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the emotional support, I think, is where I'm called in, or where most of my work lies. But interestingly, people might call me because they actually need help with paperwork, exactly like you said, affairs, getting your ducks in a row, the finances. Not that I can do that from a legal perspective, but people might contact me to go, right, I want to get my ducks in a row. Can you help me? Where do I start? But what actually comes out of that is those emotional conversations, because I think sometimes it's also easier. We are very good at planning generally. Most people, we are very good at thinking, well, a holiday and I'll book this and I'll research. And thanks to Google, all the information we need is actually at our fingertips. It's what we choose to look for. But we're very good at planning and organizing when it suits. And most people will start the process of end of life planning with tick boxes. So my role as well, it will be to facilitate conversations around things like advanced care planning, which could involve things like resuscitation, a respect form, which is what a lot of people have now, which is the recommended summary plan for emergency care and treatment, that is used at end of life with extra info on there about what's important to you. Where do you want to be? How do you want your care to be? What you're prioritized, what you're scared of. So it gives people the opportunity to actually plan for their death, but also open up the emotions a little bit. And just a little plug, I've then created a spiritual care document, which is free to download on my website, called Me, My Care and I, which is now being used to work alongside that respect form to count or to open up the conversations about the emotional stuff. What soothes me, what comforts me, what's important to me, who my pets are, what my prized possessions in my house. Somebody, they can write down what matters to them, and it might be that it's prayer and their rosary beads alongside their cat pillow and their crystals. It doesn't have to fit in a box. Who we are, our spirituality is bigger than that. So all of those documents and that planning can be done and should be done ahead. And you're exactly right. This is where we come in. This is where it's sometimes easier to start that tick box exercise with somebody like us. And then that's when the doors open and the floodgates open, which is a beautiful thing, to be able to go down those roads with somebody and their family. And sometimes actually I'm not saying much. but I'm that extra conduit, if you like, to say something, to open some things, to probe a little bit sometimes, to then allow a family or tribe or village people, because not everyone's a loved one. That's also a very good point to mention. So also having somebody like us allows for that difficult dynamic as well. But then you can just hold space and open that up and let people find their own way. So again, it's still not us telling them, but having someone like us to help the planning and the tick box is a journey, and then opens up to so much more.
So everything that you're talking about is all part of Soulwifery then?
So yeah, so it can be. So people contact a soul midwife for different reasons. Sometimes people might contact me right at the end of life to go, oh my goodness, my person's breathing funny, what does that mean? And again, because I've got the death education and my experience, I can support that. Sometimes soul midwifery might be for somebody about me walking alongside them through their treatment. Sometimes it might be that they just contact me to plan. Sometimes, and for a couple of people at the moment, I am their kind of emotional backup in the background. So people will connect with me when they feel they need to at whatever stage in their journey. So as soul midwives, I mean, there's about 1,000 of us all over the UK and all over the world, in fact. So we all work in a very unique way, our own unique way that's special to us with our own skills and experience and expertise and gifts. But equally, yeah, we are all those people that support the dying in some way, shape or form. So it's another reason as well to find the right soul midwife for you. Because I talk a lot and I can be quite bold in my character. That might not work for people, and that's okay. But if they can contact me and I can find them the right soul midwife, that's just as important to me, because people need to realize that they have options and choices with all of us as well, and the people that support them. So we can help from, like I said, diagnosis to death and beyond. I may be called after the fact to support with last offices, the cleansing and cleaning of the body, any ritual aspects. I may be holding space for a person's dead body for 3 days. And I may just be part of cleansing that energy. I may just be part of making cups of tea. It's really whatever need. I am that extra shoulder, the extra ear, extra love, essentially. I mean, that's what we all are. We're extra love in some way, shape or form.
I love it. That's a brilliant way to put it, and a lovely way to finish. So if people are interested in speaking to you further, how do they get hold of you?
I'm, like I said, very active on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. Loads of information and everything you need to know pretty much about me is on my website, which is katiecostello.com. And I've got pages specifically for my soul midwifery, and that goes into different ways we can help and support people. I've got a page for my funeral celebrant work, again, just highlighting some of the different choices we have as a celebrant, and all my fees, everything's very transparent. And then I also have a page for my death education, which is called Dying for a Cuppa, the masterclass, which came from, and I've still got like an online death cafe type thing that I run. That's Dying for a Cuppa. This is all the key information put into this accredited masterclass. And there's information on there about how you can enroll by yourself. It's all done through my website with training videos by me. But I'm also introducing this to nursing homes, hospices, hospitals, care agencies to help and support palliative and end-of-life care training out there. So there's all specific pages for that on there, as well as hopefully lots of information throughout that people might find useful as well. So ktcsoulmidwife.com. Hopefully there's loads of stuff there, everything you need to know.
Sounds fantastic. And I'll have to join you for a Dying for a Cuppa event.
Yes, yeah. I run them at least once a month, but life has been so busy. I go on holiday soon, so the next one might be September, but if not, there might be one coming up soon, and that's all run on Facebook Live as well.
I'll have a look. Lovely. It's been really, really good to speak with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave. No, thank you. Thanks, everybody.